going. Welcome back to the Bowling Mentor Seminar. And today, you'll be pleased to know is going to be a lot less talking from me and a lot more from Charlie, because we've been having a lot of questions in recently about wrist position and skill work. And this is right in Charlie's wheelhouse, because that's why we got him on, because he can cover that very well. So, Charlie, over to you, buddy.
Great, yeah. So obviously nets have started back up, as we all know, and I've had a few questions. We've had a few questions come in about skill work, how to swing the ball. So I'm not going to talk for too long. I've got a couple of videos to show in a minute. But yeah, we'll just go over some basic kind of grips to help swing the ball, and then really I just want to open it up to the floor, and then people to jump in. And if you've got any questions, please just fire away, and I'll do my best to answer them. So. Yeah, I'll start. I've got a ball with me today, so that's always helpful. To start with, and I'll just go over some grips and just show people on the camera. So I mean, first of all, what I would say about skill work is it's very individual. Okay, so what works for me is very different to what would work for someone like Stuart Broad, to James Anderson, to Joe Leach, who I played with at Worcester. You've got to work out what works for you. But clearly there are some fundamentals that we can all do, and hopefully that will help us. Okay, so I'll go over what works for me, and then I'll just explain some stuff that you can try differently. So those are my two fingers. I'm a right-handed bowler. Yeah, in terms of my two fingers, I actually had them together on the seam like this. I didn't have them apart. Some people have their fingers apart, but I think a given is you have to have your two fingers on the seam, or at least gripping it, and to be comfortable. You don't want to have them too wide and off. We want to use those two fingers. So in my case, on my right hand on the seam, but I quite like them together. I don't know why. I tried with them being slightly apart, and I tried with them together. And when I had them together, the seam just for some reason came out more upright, and it worked for me, and it helped me swing the ball. Now, other things I've actually tried over the years was with my fingers. You can have them bolt, on the seam like that. You can have them to one side, okay? And what that means, so for example, in this, how I'm holding the ball now, I've got my index finger on the seam, and then my middle finger slightly off, which would be kind of, when I say it's slightly off, it would be to slightly on the shiny side. I'm holding the shiny side as if I'm going to swing it away to a right-handed batter. And what that enabled me to do is actually just come down the right-hand side of the ball. And that meant that as I let it go, it actually helped set the ball up to go away from the right-hander a little bit. Something you can try, okay? And then vice versa, if I wanted to swing it in, I'd just have my middle finger on the seam, like so. And then I'd have my index finger kind of just on the where it'd be the shiny side to swing it into a right-handed batter, if that makes sense. I can go over that again if it's not clear. If I'm not at any stage, please shout. I will go over it. I think for me, a really important aspect in terms of holding the ball is where your thumb goes. Now I've seen some people hold the ball with their thumb like this. Some people have it kind of in a bit more of a flat position. For me, I tried to get it as side on as I can, and it has to be on the seam. If you have your thumb off the seam, then it's really difficult to have the 3 points of contact on the seam and then actually get the ball to come out in an bolt upright position. So you've got to have your thumb on the seam, and that's how I held it, just like that. So it's pretty much if you try it, I've suggested this to quite a few people over the years, and it feels quite weird when you start tinkering with grips. You kind of have like a comfortable way that you hold the ball, and when you make a change, it feels really, really weird and different. So I just, what you find sometimes, you hold the ball in a different way. You think, right, I'll try this. You start running in, and then all of a sudden you find that you've just slipped back into the grip that you're quite comfortable with doing, and you have done. So just be quite precise with what you're trying. And then of course, currently how I'm holding it is to set up kind of a straight seam to the right-handed batter. I've got the shiny side on the on the right hand side. So it's, this ball would hopefully swing away to the right-handed batter as I'm holding it. And then for some people, yep, just tilting the seam slightly towards first or second slip, for example, will help just set that ball up to go away from the right-handed batter. And then, of course, switch it around for the in-swinger and you can just slightly canter it in. And I think it's a good time now to go to the video, Juicy, if we can. It does take a few seconds to load up. But yeah, I've got some videos from a few years back now of where I this is me practicing some skill work, some seam work, and what you'll see is the ball when the videos load up, the ball has some white tape around the seam, electrical tape, and it's really good. I've spoken about this before. It's a really good way to see how you're presenting the seam and get some immediate feedback. And a lot of the pros use it. It also actually helps swing the ball. It gives it a bit more of a rudder. So if you want to practice some swing bowling, then it's a really good way to yeah to do it as well. But the most important thing, it shows how that seam is coming out, and you know, there's pros and cons to swinging the ball and looking to seam the ball off the pitch. Maybe we'll have a look at the videos, and then I'll talk about seaming the ball off the wicket and maybe some wobble seam stuff. But here
Brilliant.
we go. Okay, so we're in.
So which
So
one?
yeah,
The one on the left first?
yeah, we're going on the left. Just roll it through nice and slow. Okay, so this is me just in a few years back now, running in winter training, looking to bowl. Okay, so I think if you stop there a second, Juicy. So I tended to try and swing the ball away, and for that, for me to do that, my back foot was kind of, yeah, kind of. Well, I'd say it was kind of like, I didn't land side on. I was kind of at a 45-degree angle. So it was really important for me in terms of to be able to help me swing the ball away was to line that front elbow, my left elbow, up with the target, okay, and to almost look through my action. Whenever my front elbow kind of fell away to the side, I used to come round, and it just didn't mean I could swing the ball. I need to swing the ball. We want to be in a really upright position, as tall as we can, to get behind the ball and to set it off. If we're kind of coming round ourselves or anything, then we're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be a lot more difficult. So key point with setting the seam up really well for me was actually what my front arm was doing, and by that is the alignment of my shoulders towards the target, and specifically, yeah, kind of looking through my front arm, or making sure that that elbow, we can see that left elbow is in line with my eyes. Okay, so it's also not too far up, but I'm just kind of here in a comfortable position, and from there I can use my arm to pull into my side. But most importantly, the alignment of my body is good. You've got to see my hips and my shoulders are in a good place at that point there. Do
That's
you
a
want to roll?
big thing. I was going to say that that's a massive thing. Is we're talking about these points, but if the initial back foot contact position's not there, remember everything else is going to get offset. So if you look, I know we can't really see his back foot contact, but it's right underneath his body. It's perfect. Okay. So then the alignment going up is perfect. Now, if that foot is landing, say, over here, around there, sort of below there, outside of that base of support. So if we think of that base of support as being just here, oh, come on, swine, going straight up there, then he's unbalanced. Okay, that is when we get the issues with falling away, top half and lower half. But if we go straight down from his base of support, it goes straight down on his back foot. You know, if you want a visual to how we want that back foot landing in relation to the body, that is it right there. Okay, that is it. That is spot on. I never told him that at the time.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I've never heard this.
We crack on.
Yeah. So
We
look,
carry on
that's
it.
the back position it back. But yeah, let's roll it through. So you see the front arm is going down towards the target. It's not peeling off to the side. I'm in a nice position here. And as the arm comes up, we'll get to see the ball and the tape round. Okay, so it's coming up. It's coming up. Keep rolling forward. Keep rolling forward. Keep rolling forward. Excellent. So there you can see the white tape on the seam. Okay, and that's again, you can get instant feedback when you're bowling with it. And yeah, as it comes out, I mean, for me, I'll be honest, I used to swing the ball away, but I never got it to come out like we see James Anderson does, where it doesn't have any wobble on it at all. It's absolutely bolt upright and just perfect. My seam came out a little bit like this, as you can see, a little bit of wobble, but it because it was mostly upright, it still swung. And what I found was actually when it had a little bit of wobble like that, sometimes it would swing, and because it was wobbling, it would hit the pitch and it might seam it might continue to seam away, or it might actually nip back. So occasionally, when the conditions were right, I could get the ball to swing away, and then it would just naturally nip back off the pitch, which is a pretty lethal delivery. It was completely unintentional, but that's just how I presented the seam. And I tried so hard to get it bolt upright, and occasionally I did. But actually, my point being, you don't have to get it perfect to get the ball to swing if you're a swing bowler and that's what you're looking to do. But the key thing is here, I've got a really high release point. And as you can see on release there, the seam is bolt upright. And for me, as I say, that was with my two fingers on the seam like this and my thumb underneath. Okay. And I found that because all my alignment was good through my action, that I could actually just release the ball from there and it would just swing away. And therefore, if I wanted to make a change by bowling an in swinger, or I wanted to bowl a wobble seam delivery, all I had to do was change what I was doing with the ball in my hand, as opposed to start thinking about my action, for example, and have to change something in my action, which things get really complex there. So my action was repeatable, it was solid, it was efficient, and therefore all I had to do is, from a skill point of view, is actually just change what I was doing with my grip. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's video on the left there. Talk a little bit of technique, but this is a skill-based seminar today. And then on the right here, just from a different angle, this is a really good angle. If you just stop it a second, you get your coach or anybody to film from this angle. Again, you almost need them up on a chair behind the stumps and like filming down, as we can see. But this will give you instant feedback from behind, which is really, really useful. So yeah, Juicy, if you want to rock and roll it through, mate. Again, we'll see the seam doesn't come out perfectly upright, and I'm not sure whether it's obscured or not, but there's some stumps. I know we've got all our I don't know if you can hide them at all, guys. Your the thumbnail. Yeah, if you hide your thumb, kind of the if all of you hide where well, I've got, where your videos are on the right of the screen on Zoom, you can see some stumps down the far end. So don't know, Jules, if you can just highlight where the stumps are in the video with something. Yeah, so here I've got them set up for swinging the ball away. Okay, so you can imagine there's a gap. So they're set up. So the furthest away yellow stump is set up on about 4 to 5 meters from the stumps I'm bowling out, the batter stumps. And then the second stump on the left is set up at around 6 to 7 meters from the batter stump. So the idea is you've got to swing it through that gap and through that gate. It's a really good exercise. So imagine that's for an away swinger. If you switch the stumps around, you could then do it for an in swinger. But there's a really good example. The ball is swung away through that gate. But again, you can see the seam isn't perfect. It's not absolutely bolt upright, but it's good enough, and it's managed to shape away into that area there. So firstly, a drill that you can do, and then just an example of again taping the ball up and what we're looking to do. A key part I found with helping shape the ball away and swing it away was actually the finishing my action off. So if you go back a bit, Juicy, if you watch my shoulder rotation, kind of all the way through, it okay. So yeah, as the arm comes over the top, keeps coming over, keeps coming over, keeps coming over, and then watch from here. It comes all the way around. So I keep my shoulders kind of complete all the way around. My left arm pulls all the way up. So I've got this kind of rotation of the shoulders all the way through the action, and that helps you get behind the ball. And if you can get behind the ball and have all your momentum behind, then we've got a good chance of standing it upright and swinging it, if that's what you look to do. As a bowler, we're not all swing bowlers. We don't all have to be swing bowlers, but that is something that is what I did. And yeah, I won't talk for too much longer now. I want to really open it up to the floor and ask people if they've got any questions, and we can maybe
So
talk
I'm going
about
to jump in,
Yeah, go on, Jude.
surprisingly, and just say this is why we screen, guys, because if your thoracic is locked down, you've not got rotation, you're not going to get in this position. You're not. That's a lot of rotation. At the same time, we can see the pelvis there is pretty neutral, and the rotation he's getting there is spot on. Sometimes I think people think we're just doing things for things sake, but everything we do is a purpose. It really does have a purpose. So that's a great sort of visual representation of needing adequate thoracic mobility. It's huge, absolutely huge. So yeah, just wanted to add that in. But
Yeah, and
yeah, so
I'll chirp in. I must admit, when we first started assessing Moz years ago, there wasn't anything. I remember there was a slight asymmetry lower half, but that did you have an ankle issue at one point? I can't remember.
Yeah, I had an ankle impingement on my left. Yeah.
That was it. But everything else, his body was able to do what the coaches wanted him to do and what he was trying to achieve. That's why having adequate range of motion, being stable enough in the right place, and then adding in the training on top, creates that lovely perfect action, which I'm sure you'd all like.
So yeah, that's very kind. Thank you very much, choosing again. But I just
yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say even then though, because sometimes I get on calls with people and they're like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. You know, we could pick holes in Moz's action. Of course we can, because the only perfect action really has ever been Brett Lee. But sometimes we mistake perfection when we got a lot of progress. You know, sometimes we can get so het up with something. Like, so say with Charlie, when front foot hits there, if we're in an ideal world, this hip would be further forward and further round a little bit. So we've got a little bit more hip shoulder separation. But if we got hung up on that and forgot the skill side, because we know if we see an action which is pretty safe and we know is going to get him what he needs, to then think, right, if I just keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that, we might be missing something else. So we're always chasing progress, not perfection. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And yeah, we can all pick our actions apart, and I always like it as well. And I can I can pick my action apart here. I know spoke about some good stuff within it, but exactly that. And yeah, I just think just for in terms of the Gav was saying about screening and stuff. I just want to make this point. When I was 14, 15, 16, 17, I actually had a really poorly moving body. I was stiff. I was fit in the sense I did a lot of running. I did a lot of, body weight exercises, press ups, pull ups and stuff. So I wasn't sedentary. I was fit, but I had really tight hamstrings. I had no thoracic mobility. And I that's why I got a stress fracture when I was younger. It didn't take much load to go through my body at a critical growing point at kind of 17, 18 years old. My body broke down and I had to have surgery on my back as a result. Now, I'm not saying that to scare people. I'm just saying the point being that I worked from that point on. I worked really hard on my mobility long before I met Juicy actually with some physios when I was rehabbing back. And it, again, had a full screening and had a look at some parts of my body which weren't moving well. And from there, just kind of, just was so diligent every day, would just make sure I'm doing my soft tissue work or what the physios had programmed me back then. And so my point being that if I have got, some stiffness in your thoracic and stuff, you can make changes. And one of the reasons that really kind of drove me forward to keeping on top of my mobility, etc., was actually the fact that I didn't want to get injured again. I didn't want to go to the point where I'd broken, I had to have surgery on my back or anything. I wanted to give myself the best chance of that not happening again. And that really helped to also stay on the park and stay injury free. I'm a really big believer in that, as well as being physically robust, but actually moving well. And the key thing was to do that within the season, to keep on top of that, because it's when cricket loads go up, workloads go up, it could be quite easy to just not do your soft tissue stuff, and that's actually when you start to get a little bit stiffer, a little bit tighter. Things then become an issue, and that's when you become an injury. I think it's been really diligent with that work. Anyway, I've rambled on. Let's open it up to the floor. People have got some questions perhaps, or would like to know, please say if you've got something you're working on or would like some help with.
Zoe had a question. He said,
Yeah.
did you use the electrical tape on the cricket ball or a tennis ball?
So cricket ball here, I have put it on a tennis ball only for good fun in the garden with cricket. Although I must say, yeah, because it swings, it's actually reverse swing if you kind of tape up a tennis ball one side. It does swing, as we all know, and it's good fun. But it can teach you some stuff, I guess, as a bit of fun. I have used it with some younger children to kind of show them how to swing or what swing is like and stuff like that. But it's not it's so, you know, it swings so much more than a cricket ball would. Yeah, the key thing is to put the electrical tape on the seam of the cricket ball. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. I mean, you could put it on a weighted Incredible if you wanted. So long as it's the same kind of weight, you can get Incredibles the same weight as cricket balls, and that could give you some feedback. But fundamentally, you know, using a cricket ball, this is what we use in a game. Let's practice with this as much as we can. And if you've got a white ball, you can just put some black electrical tape on, electrician's tape. So that works brilliantly.
Good stuff. Shiva's got a question. Shiva, come ask.
Hi Ross, hi Charlie.
Hi.
I wanted to know, how much, how do you use your wrist when you want to swing the ball? Because I always heard you use a lot of wrist. At least you cock your wrist and then you, I don't know how to say it. You
Yeah,
hit,
flick it or something.
flick
Yeah.
it, flick it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
can you tell me more about that too?
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
again, this is a personal thing. I mean, please don't say, you know, take what I say as the gospel truth behind everything. I say it is individual, and you know, I personally didn't try and flick my wrist. It didn't work for me. I felt like it naturally happened when I bowled. It was, you know, but it probably did happen, but I didn't. It wasn't a conscious thing where I'd bowl and then go. But what I did try and do was, and I think this is absolutely fundamental for everyone, is to keep their wrist in a cocked position. So to me, I call, yeah. Firstly, I got it off Dale Steyn a little bit. Great exponent of swing bowling, as we know, and he speaks about the wrist being back and in this really cocked position. And if you're trying to bowl an outswinger to a batter, you want to lead with this part of the hand towards the batter on release, because if that's leading there and your wrist is cocked, it will naturally just break and come over at the right time and the ball will be upright. If your wrist is all floppy like this, there's no way you're going to be able to get that ball to come out as we're hoping. Okay, you've got to have a really cocked wrist. It's got to be, you know, if you look at Stuart Broad in the Ashes, you know, he runs in just gone before he retired. You know, his wrist is in this kind of really solid position. I'll try and give, well, my camera's a bit close, I'm afraid. But it's almost like see how it's back here, called this like C shape that you create with your wrist, and that's where it's cocked. So you want to be like running in naturally with your arm kind of fluid, but the wrist remains really locked in place, and then from there we can yeah, kind of release it. And then so I said about that for the away swinger, we're trying to like lead with this part of the so the kind of right part of the wrist towards the batter. For the in swinger, obviously we're changing the shiny side round. The grip can slightly change where it would just angle in towards the batter, but you're trying to bowl with a flatter wrist. So you're actually trying to lead with the thumb towards the batter. And if you lead with the thumb, then the wrist gets in the right position to let go of the ball and bring it in. So actually, it's just a subtle difference between getting your wrist in that position and being a bit flatter. That's your away swinger. That's your in swinger, and that worked for me. And yeah, I've got to say, Dale Steyn. I watched the video on Dale Steyn. You go on YouTube, you can find it. I'll try and find it after this and pop it on. I can't take all the credit, I'm afraid. You know, we're copying each other. We say copy each other. We're copying or taking bits of information from anyone. You know, there's a James Anderson masterclass on how to bowl swing. On swing bowling, and Dale Steyn on YouTube. Like go and look, go and find what works for you and stuff. But yeah, that I'm you know, this is what worked for me, and having taken snippets from those amazing bowlers, which are 1,000 times better than I ever was.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
No worries.
Roy, come unmute yourself, buddy. Come and ask.
Hiya, hi everyone. Hi Charlie.
Hi.
One thing I always struggled with, my stock ball always, you know, swung away from the batsman, but I could never get the in swinger right.
Yep.
Like, just any tips for that, or any reasons, or
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Firstly, I think it's fantastic you're getting the ball to swing and move. I think sometimes, you know, we can get het up on not managing to do a certain skill set. And a bowling coach said to me years ago, you know, just go with what you've got. And the fact you're getting the ball to move is threatening. Okay, we've just got to so actually, I've spoken about swinging the ball away, and I've spoken about swinging the ball in. You don't actually need to swing it both ways to be successful. You don't have to swing it at all. You can just bowl wobble seam deliveries and try and get the ball to nip off the pitch, and that is really threatening. And I'll come back to that in a second. But to answer your question, you say you swing the ball away with no problem. All you have to do is actually just bowl kind of like a 45-degree ball, and you know that it's not going to swing away. It's just going to run in. So if you're bowling, you know, you're setting a batter up to, you know, over 2 or 3 overs, so you're going to go away swinger for 12 balls at him. You're bowling nicely in the channel. Hopefully, you're going to nick him off in that time. But if not, your change up, and you don't want to be doing this too often. You don't want to be bowling like an away swing and then a straight ball and stuff. You want to get nicely in the groove, away to the batter setup, and then you just want to go to like a 45-degree ball. So if I'm holding the ball like that for my away swinger, all I have to do is just say canter it a little bit more like this. Okay, so the seam's going to come out disrupted, and that means it's just going to go on straight, and you're giving it a chance to nip off the wicket, because it's going to come out in a kind of a bit more of like a wobble fashion. But if you've swung it away like that and then one just goes straight, batter's pads come across in front of the stumps, poof, and you've got a good chance of getting LBW or beating him on the inside. So yeah, don't get hung up on having to swing it in. If you can find a way to do it, and you find that's another tool you can add to your armory, then great. But yeah, just go for like a wobble seam delivery, or like a 45, or even a cross seamer. Just try a cross seamer. You know, if you're going away, cross seamer doesn't swing. Just takes a bit of practice to know what line to start it off at. But that's fine. That's enough. You know, that's plenty for all batters, and most professional bowlers. That's all they have in their toolbox. Not a lot of bowlers these days swing it both ways and everything like that. You know, you just need to have a stock ball and then a variation. So, right, I've ranted on there. I'll answer that question. But I said before we go on to another one, because I know there's a few hands up. What I would say about swing bowling, the ball swings from the hand. So if you're a batter, if you're a very good batter, the ball swings from the hand. You have more time to adjust to it, because obviously it has to travel 22 yards or so to get to the bat, maybe 20 yards from the bowler's hand to the bat. If you're seaming the ball doesn't swing. It travels 16 yards, hits the pitch, and then it deviates off the pitch. So the batter's only got 4 meters to actually make a reaction, which is they haven't got enough reaction time. So actually, if you speak to a lot of top batters, when the ball seams off the wicket, that's a lot harder than facing swing bowling, because they just don't have the reaction time to deal with it. And that's what you'll see. A lot of top bowlers will actually look to, I say top bowlers, a lot of county bowlers. If you watch Australia when they've come over here in the Ashes, they generally don't look to swing it up front. What they do is hold it in the kind of wobble seam position, where you're kind of holding it at like a 45-degree angle. The ball is hard, the seam is presented, you hit the pitch, you get that deviation, because the seam will go soft. But what you can do is polish the ball up after 10 overs and get it to swing. So make the most of it when it's hard and get it to try and deviate off the pitch, because that is the hardest thing for batters to face.
Good stuff, Charlie. Just going to jump in for a couple of questions that come on the box, and we'll go back to the hands up. Best asked, so how do the exercise we're doing help with mobility? I'm probably only seeing them 2-dimensionally, so happy to hear your thoughts. So basically, stability is the foundation for mobility. So when we see a lack of mobility and stability, we need to start with stability first. When we've got that, the body releases the parts that we need to move, like the thoracic, like the hips, like the ankle, to actually move how we need to. So we need to have that foundation of stability to then move on from there. Then Martin's asked, do you have any advice for a left armer trying to swing it away from a right-handed batsman?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Just to go over what I have said about your position. So if you try and swing it away, say try and get that thumb to kind of lead towards the batter. So you're kind of coming down the so if that's how you're holding the ball. So you're trying to get it to swing away to the right-handed batter as a left armer from over the wicket. So you've got the shiny side on the right-hand side, and you almost want to kind of like just push it out. So say getting that thumb to lead. You can do some things with your action. I don't. Starts to get complex, and I spoke about the importance of having repetitive action and stuff. But what you can find is by not quite completing your action, if that makes sense. So I think I'm better off doing a video on this and explaining it at another point. But yeah, I spoke about that kind of full rotation of your shoulders coming right the way around. If you kind of just let your instead of fully coming around and you kind of stay a bit more front on and chest on instead of getting all the way through the action, that can help you just come kind of off the ball a little bit and help you actually swing it away. We don't want to push it. We still want to be bowling it when we're swinging it. That's the one thing we don't want to be doing. We don't want to just lobbing it up there trying to get it to swing. We want to be bowling it onto the wicket and getting it to swing and still hit the pitch. But you can do that by yeah, not quite complete your action. I'd go to that. Fundamentally, let's have a repeatable action. Try with your thumb. Certainly with you spoke about the positions on the ball with your finger. Just try cantering the ball. So I'm holding it in my left hand here. Try just turning the ball a little bit more to point towards kind of first or second slip. As I said, you can try with having your try with your index finger or your middle finger on the seam. Just try. It doesn't matter how you hold the ball, as long as you experiment and you find something that works. You could hold the ball cross seam, okay, and it could swing away. That's fine. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's different to what the textbook says. This is where you've got to experiment. This is where the fun of it is. There's no right or wrong. And I think just put some tape on the ball, go to the net, have fun, experiment, and try different positions. A lot won't work, but something will. And then you found out what you need to do and you run with it. And then that's how you build a skill set up. Okay. So that would be my suggestion.
Good stuff. Ali Safi, unmute, buddy. Come ask.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to ask a question because I've seen this before. Some bowlers use the crease quite a lot when bowling, especially with swing. And just wanted to see how that kind of affects your swing bowling.
Yeah, so great question. When the ball isn't swinging a lot, generally bowlers will come tight to the stumps, because if you're trying to get LBW and bowled and the ball isn't swinging a lot, if you're kind of bowling what they call wicket to wicket, you're trying to get as tight in as you can so that if the batter misses it, there's a good chance it's going to hit in line with the stumps. It's going to be going on to hit the stumps and therefore get out LBW or bowled. Okay, we're trying to bring in all modes of dismissal. So you're trying to bowl as tight to the stumps as you can and hit that off stump channel. Also, from there, if it's not swinging a lot and you're bowling at that angle, if it does swing away, you've got a chance of getting the outside edge. Okay. What we tend to see is when the ball is swinging a lot, when the conditions are right, the bowler will come wider on the crease. And what that does is you're basically drawing the angle in. The ball, if you're a batter, if you imagine if I'm bowling wide on the crease, or you're facing a bowler that's swinging the ball away, I'm a right-handed batter, the ball is going to swing away. If I'm wide on the crease, or the bowler's wide on the crease, the ball is going to come in towards the batter, which is going to draw them into play. Okay, if the ball's swinging loads and I'm bowling tight into the stumps, then it's going to swing. It's just going to continue to swing, and the batter can just leave it outside the off stump. If that makes sense. If the ball is wider on the crease, the ball is going to come in at the stumps, which draws the batter into play, and then it either doesn't swing and it goes straight on and hits the stump, so you've got bowl and LB, or it does swing and there's a chance you're going to take the outside edge some more. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And that's where you can change your angle on the crease, and you can do that. You don't have to bowl wider on the crease if it's swinging a lot. You mix your angle up, so you can bowl one tight in, and you can go one mid crease. We're still trying to hit the same top of the off stump each time. When we change our angles on the crease, there's a chance that we're going to be a bit more erratic because we've got to change where we're bowling. What we're trying to do is still execute the same outcome where we're hitting the top of off stump, but we're just doing it from different. That's where the skill comes, where we're doing it from different angles on the crease. But you can come wide on the crease and then bowl a ball that's not going to swing, and it'll just run straight in onto the stumps, and the batter's not ready for it. you know, they shoulder arms and it straight through, hits the off stump or middle stump, or, you know, front pad, and happy days. We all go cartwheeling around the ground happy. We've got a wicket. So hopefully that answers your question about angles on the crease.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I think you've sort of covered this, Mons, but we've got one. What would be the ideal wrist position while running into bowl? Should one keep it loose and easy while running in, and they cock it at the end, or just keep it cocked up throughout?
I'd say figure it out for what works for you. If you want to keep a loose wrist, what I would say a non-negotiable is getting it into that cock position. I haven't seen many bowlers like running with a floppy wrist, keep it floppy, and then, you know, deliver a really good seam position. But if you keep it floppy and nice and relaxed, I've tried that. I've kind of run in like this, and then just found that as I come into action to the gather, kind of lock there. But the key thing is then it stays locked all the way through the rotation of the arm, through the bowling action. You know, but equally for most of my career, I just had it locked and kind of ran in. I just tried to keep my shoulders nice and relaxed, my elbows nice and relaxed, running like this. And I got to the crease, as you can see in the videos, and then kind of stays locked all the way through. Try it, whatever works. There's no right or wrong way. But yeah, I'd say the only way you're going to find out is by trying both. So yeah, have fun with that.
Good stuff. Matthew's asked, do you have any advice about learning to bowl reverse swing?
Yeah, great question. Reverse swing, definitely more prominent in the subcontinent, but it does reverse swing in England, and certainly had that. So the key thing with reverse swing is the condition of the ball. The ball has to be in the right condition, and therefore the conditions around or what you're playing in have to be right. The ball will not reverse swing if there's any moisture or it's wet. That just can't happen. It has to be dry, and the wicket generally has to be very abrasive. Where you basically scuff the ball up to the point where there's chunks coming out the rough side. No ball tampering. We all play fair cricket, okay? But it kind of hitting the ball into the pitch. You can legitimately try and smash the ball up by bowling cross seam. For, you know, you say as a team, right, for 20 overs there, we're going to bowl cross seam. It's really dry. We aren't getting much normal movement out of the pitch here. We've got to try something. Going to bowl cross seam and smash the ball up. It has to stay dry. You've got to be really aware that you don't have sweaty palms going on the ball. Sorry, 2 seconds. My laptop's just gone a bit crazy. Sweaty palms, stay off the ball, because as I say, any moisture that gets onto that ball, it needs to be in a really dry state. Any moisture that gets onto it can just completely negate the opportunity to get reverse swing. So you'd have a ball which, as I say, chunks really rough, and then you dry shine one side. So, you know, I think key things is to take hands off the ball. You should have one ball goes through to the wicket keeper. It gets thrown to the designated shiner, and then the designated shiner will throw it back to the bowler. It doesn't go through anyone else's hands to mitigate that moisture getting onto the ball. And then from there, you just dry shine it. So we're not adding sweat or anything like that. We're not adding, anything else, although we shouldn't be. You are, I can see Juicy laughing there. You are shining it up as best you can without adding anything. And just what happens is you've got, as I say, a really rough side, and then you've got a smooth side, and then that will give it the opportunity to reverse swing. Please don't ask me about talk about the science of reverse swing. I'm not sure of it exactly myself, but the ball does reverse, and it's absolutely potent. It tends to kind of go straight, and then it just last minute will just dip in. You can get it to swing away by changing the angle around, but key thing with reverse swing, if that's the shiny side here, to swing away to a right-handed batter, with reverse swing, it actually goes the other way, so the ball will swing towards the shiny side. Again, please don't ask me the science on it. I could probably give you a rough thing, but it won't be accurate. And as I say, it's deadly. And again, the more the ball reverse swings, the wider on the crease people generally go. Well, you can mix your angles up a little bit, but hang on, is that right? Just don't. Just trying to figure this out. No, so sorry. If the ball is reverse swinging a lot, you want to be tight into the stumps. Throw it out wide so the batter steps across. Their front pad comes across, and then poof, it comes back in. If it's not reverse swinging a lot, if you come wide on the crease, then it can make it kind of seem that it's reverse swinging more, and it's just about using these angles on the crease to maximize your chance of getting the batter out, really. So hopefully that answers your question about reverse swing. I'll probably do a video on it with a bit more detail, maybe, Juicy, at some point.
Yeah, we've got a lot in the pipeline to do it, so it's going to be good. So AK's got a great question here. It's got 2 parts. First part, read out the figures on the match ball then, Charlie. It must be dying to crowbar that in there.
No.
He did, didn't he? Straight to the camera, he's showing that.
Yeah,
What was that,
sorry.
1 foot, 2 foot?
Seriously, this is why I picked this ball up. They live in my my bedside drawer. They used to live in a jar in the spare room. The spare room's now where my daughter sleeps, and so they now live in the had a jar with my balls, which I had fifers in first class cricket with. So I instead of going to the garage and having to go into the roof of the garage to get a cricket ball, I thought, right, I'll grab this. Anyway, this was Glamorgan in 2019. 17 and a half overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 73. There you go. So 2019. Apologies, that was not the intention. I can
The
assure you.
second part was can you go back to the bowling the away swinger and to the right hander? Was it your index finger on right hand side of the seam?
Sorry, can you go back to the bowling, the away swing on the right hander with your index finger on the right hand side of the seam? Yeah, so I say for me, what I found to swing it away firstly was actually just have my 2 fingers on the seam, bang on. So we're not talking about them in different places, but just like that. And then my thumb was on the bottom, and that grip there with a cocked wrist meant I swung the ball away. However, in the past, I have just altered where I grip. So if that's, hopefully I'll show you like this. So if that's both fingers on top of the seam, what you can do to help it swing away is just have the middle finger on the seam, and then, sorry, it's bad camera angle for me. So the middle finger's on the seam, and then my index finger is just to the left. Okay, so it's off the shiny side as such. Okay, and that there just helped me kind of cut down the left hand side of the ball and just push it off like that to help it swing away. Yeah, so you can try that. I have actually tried it the other way as well, where I've had my middle finger on the seam, and then my index finger on the seam and my middle finger on the shiny side there, and then that helps again just cut down that side of the ball. Just try it works. I mean, I've tried both. I've managed to get the ball to swing away with both grips. It just sometimes depends. Sometimes our action just changes a little bit. Okay, we always talk about having a repeatable action. The reality is sometimes when we just run in one day, you know, things aren't quite working right, and we have to just make these subtle changes. It's the difference between, you know, holding the ball, you know, bolt upright like that, and actually just making these kind of small adjustments with where your fingers are to get it to move. And that's okay. That's just being, you know, having some cricketing nous and just making a small adjustment. But yeah, I mean, for me, as I say, it was both fingers on the seam. I would suggest going with, if you wanted to, if that doesn't work for you, going with your middle finger on the seam, and then your index finger on the seam, and then your middle finger just on the shiny side like that, and see if that helps. Okay, so that will just hopefully mean you'll kind of push down that side of the ball, and then it will come out and swing away. Hopefully that answers. Apology, I got the my fingers muddled up a few times there. So yeah, if not, I'll explain again.
Excellent. That has been absolutely outstanding. Hopefully you'll all agree. Some great insights there. Any last questions before we round it up? No, all good. Right. You know, you've covered so much there, Charlie. Thank you so much. Guys, just say Khadija, can we swing with only cocked wrist while releasing index and middle finger doesn't push down the ball?
With only cocked wrist, yeah. I mean, say when I keep my wrist cocked and then just hold the ball kind of orthodox. I say don't get too het up on what your middle finger and your index finger is doing. Let's just try and keep it simple. I'm just saying these are things you can try. I'd say everyone fundamentally just, you know, find a grip whether your fingers are together or they're slightly wider apart on the ball. You know, thumbs in a comfortable position and your wrist is locked. Let's start there, see what happens. and then you can start tinkering from there. You know, we need a baseline to start with, and then yeah, just figure what you're doing, and again, you know, canter the ball slightly towards first or second slip, however it works.
Excellent. Good stuff. Right, guys, we will bring it to an end there. Like I said, give Charlie a little bit of thanks. Just unmute yourself and say thanks to him.
Oh, no stress at all.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Anyone's got any
Yeah,
questions?
Charlie.
No worries. If anyone's got any questions, you know, following this up, fire them across. Happy to answer them. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
enjoy
fantastic.
practicing.
Fantastic. Right, guys, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. We're back on Wednesday with Gavin with the injury clinic. We've got lots of things in the pipeline. We're going to have an announcement soon on our first live meetup date, which will be in March. We're just getting a venue sorted. So yeah, lots of things happening. It's going to be fun. So start the week strong. Keep going. Any questions, make sure you fire them over. But also make sure you go on the one-to-one page. If there's something you want to read about or watch a video on, there's so many videos on the one-to-one page. Go in, type in search, it will come up, and keep learning. Okay. Right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.